KBR 101, it's Mick and Al on the Freak Show. Time to talk sports with DP. In the world of sports, we got two things I think we need to discuss today. First of all, in the NFL, we're getting down to crunch time, and it's amazing how one team loses or wins this weekend. It changes everything. Where a team can be in first place, they lose this weekend and drop out of the playoff picture completely with a single loss. In the college world of football sports, we're coming down to who are the four teams that are going to be in the tournament and why. Who's in, who's not, and why are the teams in? And, dude, it is a crazy scenario. We knew this was going to be the place we come to, and then you start saying, should they have ran a BCS-type system to determine those four teams?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you look. I mean, now we're just back to a bunch of guys in a room going, yeah, I like those guys.
Yep.
I like those guys better. And
Yep.
I like those guys. I don't like those guys. And it seems like they're influenced greatly by what people say.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see a team like TCU and a team like Baylor, and you go, who's really the better team? Well, Baylor beat TCU.
Yeah, but played a worse schedule.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden they say TCU's in, Baylor's out. But wait, Baylor beat TCU.
Yeah, so
it's really,
but if that's the only criteria, then I guess you'd have to say that's how it works.
And then,
or would you? And that's what they're saying. Are these guys smart enough to be able to look at the schedule and go and look at the teams and say, no, obviously TCU's a better team. They just got beat by Baylor on that day.
Yeah.
If they were to play again.
Yeah.
On a neutral field.
And then what's interesting also, DP, chime in whenever you want also. What's interesting also is Florida State does not look like that good of a team, but they're freaking undefeated. They are undefeated, and yet they're not ranked number one. And you go, how does that happen? What if there was an undefeated team that wasn't even in the top four? But I'm not talking,
I'll answer the question that you want answered first.
Okay.
All of it is silliness. Confusion means money.
Yep. Because everybody's talking about it, and everybody wants to watch the games now to be like, okay, I got to watch this Oregon game, see if they're really what they. Oh, and then I got to make sure I watch that Alabama game so I can see if they really. Yeah, for sure.
There are people that are talking about Georgia Tech football.
Yeah.
And whether they will ultimately have an impact on this playoff system and how it feeds out and how it works. So we don't know how it's all going to play out. But the idea is confusion creates money, money creates opportunity, and there are a bunch of rich folks getting richer because there is no definitive, there is no answer to it.
And who does Georgia Tech play this weekend?
Florida State.
Florida State, okay. And
again, in any other situation, it's irrelevant. But you're talking about in ACC. This is why they put the ACC, all the conference championship games into play. Remember, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, this didn't exist.
Yep.
So for all the stuff that exists now, it didn't exist 6 years ago. So we all made money. Everybody got richer. There's more interest from that. Now let's bounce forward. You've added 2 more bowl games of interest and a final game, which allows you to charge even more for that particular ball game.
Yeah. And so do all the other bowl games, that BYU's in, that possibly Utah, is there any relevance, or is it just a money grab?
It's a look. I'm a member of the patrol that says it's a wonderful pat on the back for players who had a good year. Right, you had a decent year. Chance for you one final time to get together and celebrate brotherhood that's unique and tough to get into and elite. It's everything it's supposed to be. But in the end, when there's a question of what it is and you're not sure, money is usually the answer. And that's appropriate here.
You know what it kind of makes me think of, DP, is it all of a sudden seems to me like there's a bunch of these little Pro Bowl games, and it's just the Pro Bowl because there's really no substance to it at all.
Well, I mean, it's the final grab. They say it's marketing and PR, which I understand. But to me, it would make far more sense if you gave value simply to the conferences and said we're going to take one team without the conference championship. The conference championship, again, for money's sake, but then you've negated the value of the game itself. So now you've actually got to go and have conferences where each conference has 2 different divisions so that you actually, the teams that play each other in the championship game haven't already played each other, just like the TCU Baylor situation where teams have played and one team's already lost and yet somehow they finish higher in the bidding. Head-to-head always matters most. Confusion reigns. Everybody gets rich.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess, that's the American way. But I remember.
Well, I mean, it's mental laziness, and we understand that sometimes that's the right way. That's the right way to get to the truth. And when money matters,
when you were
it's the only thing, bro. It's the only thing that comes to the table.
When you were a kid, maybe it was the naivety of being a kid, but it sure seemed like when you would talk sports and championships, it was more about the game and the players and the teams, and money was just a secondary thought,
Well, we were naive, but there was also a phrase that existed back when we were growing up that doesn't really exist now and doesn't apply. But remember, we used to hear Keith Jackson talking on Saturday afternoons about the mythical national championship.
Yeah,
that's what that was. That phrase has very little value now. Everybody wanted a definitive. Now they still haven't figured out how to get there. The idea is right. The direction is right. The process now is still flawed, and they'll have to work out. Again, this is not what it will be in another 5 years.
Somebody that might be playing the Final Four on an office poll or something like that, an office pool. Any suggestions on who to take to win it all?
Go with the group that passes the eye test above and beyond everything else. And for me, if you haven't been beaten, that means you found a way on any given number of nights to find out a way to be better than the guys you're playing. None of the other teams can say that. They can say that on their worst night they got. There's only one team that can say, no matter what situation it is, no matter how poorly they played, they figured out a way to get a W. And that team, to me, and again, it's what we talk about in fighting. Until somebody gets beat, they're the team beat.
Yeah. You make it all seem so simple. You take where my head's going a million miles an hour looking at different things. All of a sudden you go, look at the team that hasn't lost.
Yeah.
I go, right.
Look, when in doubt, you got to line up. Trust the one that your eyes are drawn to. The one that the eyes are drawn to, or the one that has nobody's ever, no matter how poorly they played, no matter what situation, no state, no matter what was going on behind the scenes with your Heisman Trophy quarterback, no matter what dumb thing your coach said, no matter what the other teammates were doing, you still managed on your worst day, 28 consecutive Saturdays in a row, which nobody else has done, figure out a way to win. Ultimately, until you lose, nothing else matters. I'm not going to bet against a team that finds a way to win 28 consecutive times, the second longest streak. Even if you put two streaks together, you can't find a team that's gone 28-1.
Yeah.
Yep, so true. And that's where we were talking at the very beginning, that there's a bunch of guys in a room that, for whatever reason, they're looking at it saying, okay, this guy's a knucklehead, this guy's weird. We'll put him at what? Cause they're what? Are they third?
No, I think Oregon's third.
I like Alabama a lot. A lot. I love Marcus Mariota. Love him. But he's gettable. He's beatable.
Yeah, we saw
the
that.
The only guy that's going to lead his team and have the ball in his hand, you don't have to get the ball to him like you do the kid in Alabama. Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston hasn't been beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll. So the big games this weekend: Arizona taking on Oregon. So we'll see if they can stay in, because Arizona's already beat them once this year, right? Or was that last year?
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's wonderful to sneak up on somebody and get them, and you get them when it matters.
Yeah, but they haven't played this year.
But Arizona beat Oregon already this year. Now they're back in the championship game, facing each other for the second time this year.
I don't think the teams that won the first time, I don't think they win the second time. I don't think you win the second time.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Oregon's better now than they were then, but we'll see. We'll see.
What else? What other games we got this weekend?
Well, I mean, everything, when you bounce around and you look at all the matchups in this thing, and again, everybody's looking at who's going to be the fourth team, and my question is who's the fourth, fifth, and sixth team, because all of those teams matter and all of those teams are relevant, because then you're getting the matchup. And what the NCAA is doing, and what these brilliant financial geniuses are doing, are stirring the pot behind the scenes to get the perfect recipe, to get the perfect matchups in that first week of the playoffs. This thing is going to look exactly the way they want it to, with the teams that they want, and you're going to get two games where there's intrigue, there's great fan support. And don't forget this part of the equation. Remember, money rules everything. So if there are two teams of equal talent on the field, the team that travels the best will get the nod.
I see Florida State.
If it's a look at it either way the Bulls go, look, the team that draws the best will get the matchup.
Okay, Florida State's going to be without Williams for the title game.
Yeah, but I don't know that that's enough. Again, I love Alabama's team, but it's kind of like a basketball team who is the star player with the basketball in his hand. I like the guy with the ball in his hand, and Mariota and Winston have the ball in their hands, and they control how this thing's going to play out a little bit more than lesser players. I like those two particular quarterbacks with the ball in their hands. I'm going against the flow because the flow would tell you to pick two better teams.
Yeah.
But in my gut, it's telling me that for the playoffs, for one game where you're going to line up and this thing has to be done, that I'm going to trust that the player with the ball in his hand the most is going to do the best, and those are the two best players.
Does the outcome of this game have any relevance on the 4-team playoff?
All of them do. And that's the thing. If Oregon loses, they're out.
They would be out for sure.
Would Alabama?
Look what happened, and this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The evil DP is rooting for Georgia Tech so that you take a one-loss, 28-1 Florida State team that you've already placed in fourth place, and then put them in dilemma.
Yeah.
Yeah, because would they drop out?
Yeah.
It kind of makes you want to root for Georgia Tech just to see how it plays out, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and if Alabama were to lose, they would have to drop out, right?
Have to. Well, they'd have
if
two
Alabama
losses.
loses, they drop out. If the TCU Baylor loser drops out, and Oregon, because it would give them their second loss against a team, and Arizona would have to jump over them with the win. If Arizona wins, they jump into the fourth.
Wow.
This
is an
but once again, like you said, it's exactly what they want, and everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about it. Nobody has the answers. Again, I, as a fan, and I'm talking to you as a fan. I'm not talking to you as a guy that would bet the deal. But if I had to, and you told me, you pressed the gun to my ear and said, "Okay, make a bet," I'm going to bet with the best guys with the ball. But that means absolutely nothing because it's college football.
All right, let's go to the NFL for a brief second.
Because we're almost in the same situation in that.
Yeah. Well, you take a team like Arizona, as Alan mentioned, in first place. They lose. They drop down to number 5 with just one loss.
Means absolutely nothing in November.
Okay.
Means absolutely nothing at the beginning of December. Look, they're still in first place, and nobody wants to end up having to go to Phoenix in February, late January, February. I mean, that's how simple that is. And you can break down the divisions. You can look at all the key players. Of course, everybody's talking Green Bay now off the two games.
Yeah.
If you asked a week ago, the Patriots were the team to beat.
Yep.
If you asked 4 weeks ago, Seattle's almost unbeatable until Washington goes to Dallas and beats them. They're the team. Not many people are talking about Philadelphia. You've got a whole bunch of teams that are on equal footing, equal leverage, and it will play out nicely because you don't know how it's going to play out.
So Dallas looks good last night.
Yeah, but this is exactly, once again, like we're talking about, that the geniuses want. They want this, it's the word, but parity. So everybody, there's all these teams with almost exact records that are all there that you just don't know. You can't have a clear-cut winner yet. You have no idea.
And look, I mean, the interest, you have all these cities that are interested, all these fan bases that are interested. All right, nobody's tied in entirely. Nobody's sure. If you had to bet, okay, who's going to be in the championship game, you ask 100 people and get 100 different answers.
Yep.
So everybody's involved. Everybody's got a shot, other than Washington and Minnesota. And other than that, hey, whatever.
What about Oakland? They don't have a shot.
Look.
Shot at the first
We
round
knew Oakland was going to suck. We knew it, and we counted on it almost. Look. At this point, it's piling on, so you don't even have to talk about Oakland when you talk about how bad teams are. They're their unique own kind of bad. I mean, when you specialize in bad to the point where, look, they give you a pass on how bad you are.
It's like, they're so bad, it's great.
Oh my goodness! It's a comedy show wrapped in a and a romantic comedy versus a scary thriller. It's everything you could possibly want. You can't. You know you aren't supposed to stare at it, but you have to.
Exactly. All right. Trying to think if anything else that is big right now. I mean, obviously the NBA is the NBA. We're just waiting to see what's really going to happen.
UFC
let me give you a little home cooking.
Okay.
From Washington, D.C. Okay? All right? So the Washington Wizards are playing extraordinarily well. Had a great playoff run. But here in town, everybody wants to talk about this kid. Again, I've never, in the history of sports coverage, heard a 3-8 team get so much conversation on a national level about a player that's not playing on a team that isn't winning. I've never seen it, and here's the thing. I've never seen a Rookie of the Year, Heisman Trophy winner, be thrown under the bus by a rookie coach who's only won 3 professional NFL games and have it be okay. I've never seen it in my life, and it disturbs me at a level that I had trouble putting words to. But listen, it's a great magic trick when you're a rookie coach to get everybody to look at your quarterback instead of you.
Yeah.
And look, here in Washington, D.C., RG3's done more for this town than Gruden ever has. And here's the thing. Gruden didn't play in the league, and he's not even the best Gruden. If his name was John Smith, he wouldn't have got the job. He got it because he's a Gruden. And what he's done to this team, and it's not like they needed a whole lot of, but what he's done to this team and one of the quality young men in the NFL is shameful, it's disgusting, it's brutal, and it saddens me. It saddens me. So,
yeah, I agree. I'm watching the league right now, and it's just it literally. I mean, even the Hoyer, Manziel, RG3, the other teams. I mean, yeah, some of them are injuries, and others. It's just like you don't get a chance to even be human anymore. It's like if you're not winning, we will throw you out, and it's weird.
Seen several scenarios similar to this in my life, and each and every one of them makes me want to vomit.
Nick, here's the thing. Take his Rookie of the Year season and then realize that after the injury at the end of that season, that he's barely had a complete season together. And at 23 and a half, 24 years old, you're ready to throw out one of the unique talents. And here's the thing. You guys are a unique talent in the radio business. You're unique in what you do. And anybody that listens to you, that programs to you, that tunes into you, tunes in for that particular thing. And that's what makes you unique. It's what makes you elite. For us to take you over to country music and tell you simply, with a new program director who's new to the business at this level, that you simply have to do country music. You got to cut out all the yuck. You got to cut out all the funny. You got to cut out all the characters. And trust me, if you do straight country radio, you'll have better ratings, you'll make more money, and we'll be more successful. You would say to him, "You're an idiot. Go away." That's what they've done to this young man.
So true.
And it's so sad to watch a young man with such great talent to be just gobbled up and spit out like he's a piece of crap. And again, I've seen it before, and it disgusts me.
When I watch it with so many of the talented young quarterbacks who came out with a lot of the skill set that RG3, I'm looking at Cam Newton this year, they're not letting him run either. And who are the...
Imagine...
Go ahead.
Alan, take this for a second. If Gruden was the rookie coach and went into Denver and became Peyton Manning's coach and simply said, "I'm going to run the zone read. You need to run the option."
Yeah, right.
Right? I mean, how idiot proof can you make it? What he's done here in Washington is shameful. And anybody that would go through and do it, shame on them for allowing it. That's the part of this thing that bugs me the most. So yeah. I gave my 2 cents, and I probably gave it two extra.
And just to clarify what I was talking about, there was another guy right before this that it happened to him, and his name was Tim Tebow, who could have been from everything he showed me, he was a winner. And
his record says he was.
Got run out of that league faster than anybody I've ever
seen.
Chewed up
and spit out.
Dude,
and it's like, why?
Shameful.
Shameful.
shameful what they do.
And then you can even go to Sam right now and talk about the disgrace that is.
It's really tough, and they're starting to peck at Colin Kaepernick. So when this thing happens, they did it to Mike Vick. It's across the league. It's problematic. It hasn't changed. It won't change because people in power want to have the same kind of thinking. They want to make the same kind of decisions, and shame on them for it. They should all do better for those young men.
Amen.
Right on,
Thank
D.
you, DP. Good luck in your game, man.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you next week.
Have a great night.
And there's your sports with DP.